because my other computer was removed and given to the Vermont Institute of Meditation, to which our speaker is a member and a founding organizer. So I'm going to talk about Cheryl Wilfong, just give you some information about her. She was born in Indiana. She was a math major at Purdue University. She graduated and became a VISTA volunteer in Utah for, I think, a couple of Indian tribes, I guess you call them indigenous tribes. And in 1972, she moved up to Vermont to become a student at the School of International Training. From there, she went became a cross-cultural trainer, a human service administrator, managing editor of a local magazine, an accountant, and a financial consultant. Obviously, she's lived a while, so she's done many things. Several years as a psychotherapist in the Brattleboro area, and then became the author of a historical guidebook following the Nez Perce Trail, which has received many national awards. Then she studied gardening, became a master gardener, and is author of several books relating to gardening and meditation. The Meditative Gardener, which also has received many awards. Garden Wisdom, 365 Days. And just for your information, an interesting book called The Real Dirt on Composting. Her book, Breast Cancer Meets Mindfulness, was selected as Book of the Year by Independent Publishers of New England. And but to us, many of us may remember her as a trapeze performer, where she 12 years ago she performed as the Rotary program. No, it wasn't 12 years. It was 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and for NECA. So I give you now, after all of that, this elegant person with whom I reside, Cheryl Wilfond.
Hi, friends. It's good to see you. Thank you for having me today. So Bill thought it would be interesting for me to tell you about the new home for Vermont Insight Meditation Center. And so if I can share a screen, Marty. Let's see here. We're now located at the Familari Farm, Vaybec, Vermont Agricultural Business Education Center. So we're here in the big barn, and I'll show you that later. We were for many years, Vermont Insight Meditation Center was located up at Neighbors Hall behind Solar Hill. But during COVID, the Neighbors Hall, when everything shut down, then when the childcare part of Neighborhood Schoolhouse opened up, they could not have childcare in this. Nothing else could happen in the same place where childcare was happening. So you may have experienced this for any of you who are churchgoers, that the childcare centers could not be in the same place. So we were homeless, which fits perfectly into our Buddhist lineage. So let me tell you about Vermont Insight, a little bit about that. I came to meditation when I was 25. Maybe some of you have either experienced or know of young people who, like me, fell into a pit around age 25. And one of my mentors at the School for International Training said, Cheryl, you should meditate. and I took her advice. So for 5 years, I meditated my way out of that black hole. So I became confident in the the power of meditation. And then about 4 years later, so I did psychosynthesis meditation. That you may not have heard of that, that's fine. Somebody said, I went out to lunch with somebody in 1977, and they said, hey, Cheryl, there's this new meditation center down in Barre, Massachusetts. You should go. So that's what I did for my 30th birthday. I gave myself a 10-day silent retreat, which was a little bit like boot camp. And it was a good fit for my mind. So meditation has brought me a lot of peace over the years. It's helped me get through the rocky bits of life, because we all have rocky bits. There's no getting through that, getting around that. I began going to so that was the Insight Meditation Society down in Barre, Massachusetts. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that. And right next door to it is the Barre Center for Buddhist Studies. I began going there in 2000, and that was really my heart's home, sort of a combination of study and practice. I found that the Buddha's teachings, called the Dharma, made a lot of sense. And since I have an analytical mind, this really worked and works for my mind. In 2005, a friend here, Claire Stanley, who had been a professor at the School for International Training in the Master MAT program, the Masters of Arts in Teaching program, decided to start Vermont Insight Meditation Center. And she nominated me to do a teacher training program at Spirit Rock Meditation Center in Marin County, California. So there are two motherships of the Insight Meditation community. One is down in Barre, the Insight Meditation Society, and the other is this Spirit Rock in California. So I did a 2.5-year training program there and became certified to teach Insight meditation. And sort of depending on your questions, I can go into the different forms of meditation. Let me say here, though, that you may have heard of mindfulness. And so basically, what I'm teaching is mindfulness. As part of my certification process, I began work on the manuscript that became The Meditative Gardener, Cultivating Mindfulness of Body, Feelings, and Mind. So there had been a meditation group at Solar Hill for several years. If any of you knew Kate Wiley, who was a psychotherapist at Solar Hill, she was the sort of mother of that little meditation group, but she moved to Boston. So Vermont Insight Meditation Center sort of succeeded her there, and I began teaching in 2005. Now, as Bill mentioned, I've had a lot of careers, and that's maybe in part due to the fact I don't have children, so I didn't have to stay locked down to one place. I wasn't supporting anybody other than myself. And that has given me a great freedom, which I truly appreciate. I've been teaching then since 2005. So so I would say teaching meditation is just about my longest career. Writing is of equal length, writing books. So let me show you. So as I mentioned, we have Vermont Insight Meditation offers a Sunday morning sit. We call the meditations sitting meditation sits. We have a Dharma talk, which would be sort of like a sermon, Dharma talk and sit on Sunday mornings, and then sit every morning at 7 o'clock. And of course, these are all happening on Zoom during COVID. And now we have pretty successfly transitioned to a hybrid. Fortunately, one of the 85-year-old pillar, one of the 85-year-old pillar of our community used to be a math professor. So she's zoomed into Zoom the week everything shut down, just without hesitation. And she has been really great with the hybrid as well as we move into this both and situation. Let me show you a couple more pictures. Oops. Here's the front door of the barn. It's the second floor. And let me just stop here. Are you all familiar with, and ask, are you familiar with where Vaybeck is, the Familari farm? It's out there by Fort Dummer State Park. Do you know where I'm talking about? Yep. And let's see here. Got another, just a couple of pictures to share with you. So here's the inside of our meditation hall. We repainted the walls. This is an old dairy barn, which has been divided up. I don't know if you have taken a Rotary tour out there to Vaybeck at times. It's right beside the visitor center, but on the old Guilford Road. South Main Street becomes the old Guilford Road. So we have sort of this second floor of the old dairy barn, and we don't have the entire, Easter Seals is also located there on this floor. And they've got another room in case anybody is looking for a space to rent. Okay, so although I've been sitting on cushions since I was 25, there are chairs for people who have lost their flexibility, which means most of us. Okay, so I think what I'd like to do is open it up for questions and let you lead from here. Yeah, sure, Tom.
Hi, Cheryl. I was actually clapping, but
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
You answered the main question I had, was are chairs available? I'm moderately flexible, but my knees don't bend that way real easily. Thank you.
Right. My knees and hips don't, although the trapeze, that was very good for my flexibility. So I've been able to regain flexibility that I had lost in my early 60s. And for that, I'm very grateful. Yeah. Any other?
I think Rob has a question.
Okay, sure.
Hi, Cheryl. Thank you for your presentation. I'd love to get some more just nitty gritty. I don't know what I'm actually not sure what question to ask precisely, but I was hoping you could paint a brighter picture of what happens or what you look for, or I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So let me just say that the Buddha lived 2,500 years ago, and he was born on the border of Nepal and India, and he taught all along the Ganges River. It's called the Gangetic Plain. After his death, Buddhism went south to Sri Lanka. It also went north into China and north, sort of due north into Tibet. So there are essentially three different traditions. They're not called sects as they are in, or denominations as they are in like Protestant Christianity. I grew up as a Protestant. But you could sort of think of them that way. So the Southern Asian Buddhist teachings, so this includes Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Burma. So that's the tradition that I study in, and these teachings of the Buddha are the oldest teachings. And then I can go into more of that if you wish. But we offer at Vermont Insight, we have 4 teachers right now. I'll say this, it's an all volunteer organization. So we don't have anything like a minister. We have teachers. I am on the Interfaith Council that here in Brattleboro. And so there are 4 of us that sort of do the programming. In addition to the sitting meditations that we have 5 days a week, 5 mornings a week at 7 o'clock. There's also a Friday evening sitting meditation, one at 5:30 and one at 6:30. These are all on Zoom. And you can go to vermontinsight.org for lots of information. We also have visiting teachers come once a month. And that used to be for a day-long retreat, what we called a day-long retreat, 6 hours on Zoom. Of course, nobody wants to sit on Zoom for 6 hours. So we do it for 3 hours, 9 to 12 or something like that. And I'll be leading one of these so-called day-long meditations, excuse me, on January 1st, called Writing from Mindfulness. So is that the area you were thinking about, Rob, or did that?
I was hoping to also just learn, like, let's say somebody were to show up 6:30 Friday evening, what would they experience? What would they see?
Okay, so right now we are all wearing masks. So yeah, you walk in the front door, there'll be probably in this hybrid time, 3 or 4 people there with an equal number on Zoom. And so Sunday is, I would say, is our, well, I can't say it's our largest attendance. So maybe 8 people. We figured the room can hold 15 socially distanced. But as you know, people are a little bit hesitant. So maybe 8 people in the room and another 4 to 8 people on Zoom. So it's a small community. We do have we send out our weekly newsletter to 700 people. And I would estimate about 10% of those, or about 70, are active in some way. So we see them, once a month or once a week or something like that. So you come at 6:30, you walk in the door, some masked person greets you, offers you a cushion or a chair, helps you get comfortable. Then the practice leader, so these are students who have been on lots of retreats, the practice leader rings the bell, and one sits silently for 40 minutes, rings the bell again, with an inspirational saying. So as part of being a teacher at Vermont Insight, I go on retreats. I do a month-long retreat every year. I leave poor Bill McKim at home all alone. But fortunately, we have this guest cottage where I'm sitting right now. So I've learned how to be alone, so to say. And then I also do an additional 4 or so retreats of maybe 5 days or so as part of my continuing education. Our practice, what I'm calling our practice leaders. So these are what one would call the pillars of the community. They also attend at least one 7-day retreat per year. Many of them attend more than that.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, other questions?
I'll ask the question that always bedevils me. I have not taken insight meditation training other than having people in yoga try and have me meditate. I've made meditation a very small part of my practice. I understand the goal is to have the mind calm and open and empty, and I can do that for about 2 to 3 milliseconds, and then the world comes in.
Perfect. That is exactly right. So the object of meditation is not to quiet your mind, because guess what? It never quiets down. So this is what the mind does. The mind, it goes. One of the great advantages of going on retreat, and especially going away on retreat where your schedule is, there's a wake up bell, there's a peer pressure of sitting meditations before breakfast, a silent breakfast, chores in the morning, more sitting, walking meditation, sitting meditation, silent lunch, washing dishes, same thing, and that's all. And there's no reading, no writing, closing the outside world away. Now, this hermit approach obviously doesn't appeal to a lot of my extrovert friends. But so this introvert right here, it's relaxing. And what happens after about the 3rd or 4th day is the mind does calm down. While it might not become, while it does not become silent, it becomes more clear and able to focus and able to attend to life as it is. We're here living in a conventional reality. We all agree on what's going on. And I don't know about you, but I have for a long time had a spiritual hunger, like there's got to be more than this. I remember one of my friends who's my age, when she turned 50, she said, "Is this all there is?" And so that's sort of like, is this it? I mean, my life is full, it's good, family, children, career, retirement, portfolio, whatever. And is this it? So with that, that spiritual hunger becomes being on retreat is a way to feed that, to nourish that, to help me get more in the groove of this, and this is something wordless. There aren't words to describe it. It's a step out of the conceptual world. Other comments or questions?
Great. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate that. And just a reminder to everyone, next week, it will be a Zoom meeting, a different Zoom link, but we will watch your emails. We will send that out to you. And everyone have a great rest of the week.